Hello Win.gg viewers and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be dissecting yet another TV show adaptation of a video game, but this time it's not League of Legends. We're going to be talking about the first episode of the new Halo series that premiered on Paramount Plus last Thursday. Now, this video is being made after the first episode came out, but before the second, so if any of these theories turn out to be wildly wrong or right, understand that. The Halo show is different from the Halo games that you know, and not just because Steve Downes isn't the one voicing the Master Chief. The Halo show takes place in a separate version of canon called the Silver Timeline. The Silver Timeline is named this after the team of Spartans that Master Chief leads. Through the games, many of you are going to be familiar with Blue Team, Master Chief's Spartan fire team who he leads throughout the canon of the games. In this universe, Master Chief doesn't lead Blue Team. Instead, he leads Silver Team, a 4-man Spartan 2 fire team that is composed of Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, Lieutenant 2nd Grade Vanek 028, and then Riz and Kai. These new Spartans are meant to feel familiar but a little bit different for dedicated Halo fans, filling much the same role that Blue Team does in Master Chief's story, but giving them a chance to meet new characters. This is the big upside of the Silver Timeline. The writers, actors, and creators around the show aren't tied down to the canon of the previous Halo games. And the Halo games have come along far enough that it would be pretty hard to tell a story in current day canon without A, ruining possible future expansions or other games for Halo, or B, just making it feel completely separate. In an ideal world, the Silver Timeline makes this universe feel familiar but different to experienced Halo fans, and they can be excited about the stories being told in it. At worst, it can feel awkward, a little ham-handed, and like some elements just aren't Halo at all. We'll be going through the good, the bad, and the ugly about this show, and why I'm cautiously optimistic as we go through it. We'll be going through the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to the Silver Timeline, and the creative choices around it in this show. I definitely have some gripes, I have some concerns that could be eased with the right choices, and I've got a couple pieces that I'd like to praise. So, is the Halo show any good? The first episode of the Halo show on Paramount Plus revolves around a planet called Madrigal and a girl named Quan Ha. At this point in the show, it seems like humanity is still very much divided between the United Earth Government, the UEG, and rebellions in the Outer Rings, the outer parts of the solar system that humanity is able to control. Spartans, the genetically engineered super soldiers created by Dr. Catherine Halsey, are originally created to deal with these insurgencies. Spartans aren't made to fight aliens, they're created in order to put down rebellions that threaten the UNSC, the UEG, and the Office of Naval Intelligence. However, it seems like in this universe, just like the main universe, humanity discovers the aliens before Spartans can be put into widespread, exclusive counterinsurgency roles. And that helps save a little bit of face for Dr. Halsey, given that engineering super soldiers to hunt rebels isn't exactly a great look for an intelligence agency. The Covenant attack the outpost on Madrigal and kill basically everybody except for Quan Ha, including her father. Master Chief and Silver Team arrive in time to intervene, but not in time to prevent mass civilian casualties. In tracking where the Covenant came from, they find a cave and a strange artifact that seems to bring back Master Chief's memories. This seems like the key point and sort of the inciting incident for the whole show. Master Chief regaining the memories of when he was a child could lead to a serious break between him and ONI. For those of you who don't know, when the Office of Naval Intelligence and Dr. Catherine Halsey create the Spartans, they kidnap young children who they view as possible candidates for the Spartan program and replace them with clones that are meant to die. These clones then die, and the parents of the children are left wondering what happened to their child as they suddenly degenerate and their condition worsens. It's a pretty dark backstory for a heroic super soldier, and Master Chief realizing what ONI and Halsey did could lead to a serious break between the two of them. This is one of the interesting points that I do like. I do want to see John's reaction to what ONI and the UNSC did and how they created these Spartans. John's always been able to adapt to the various demands that he's put under, but realizing the life that was taken away from him could be a really interesting character journey to see. At the same time, it doesn't seem like humanity has encountered the Halo rings, which could be a good or a bad choice. My guess is that the strange artifact that John is interacting with that's granting him memories will also show him the location of a Halo ring, and that's how we'll be getting into the actual, well, titular Halos of the series. These two strike me as things that are up in the air and that could be handled a little bit better, but I'm still willing to give the show some space to fill out these issues before I come down on either side. Then there's the elephant in the room. Pablo Schreiber is not Steve Downes, and it's very weird hearing a different voice come from behind the Master Chief helmet. I know some people have their complaints, but as somebody who's a huge fan of The Wire and the first couple seasons of American Gods, I'm a huge fan of Pablo, and I'm really excited with what he's doing with Master Chief. He's bringing a vulnerability to John that doesn't feel disingenuous or forced, but that we haven't necessarily seen from the pretty stoic version that Downes depicts in the games. One of the changes I don't like so far is the addition of the Blessed One, this human child who the Covenant seems to have decided is the Reclaimer or a Reclaimer. Now, this would make a lot of sense if the Covenant hasn't yet encountered humanity and realized that the entire race is able to activate Forerunner technology, but that also seems a little bit strange given the context. So far, the first episode has left off with Master Chief and Quan Ha fleeing Reach after the artifact emits essentially an EMP pulse that powers down most of the UNSC base and powers up Master Chief's ship, and they escape into the night. This seems like it's setting up for the first couple episodes to be a chase as Master Chief and Quan Ha fly around the galaxy trying to escape from ONI and figure out what's going on and probably discover some Halo rings. At the same time, I'm expecting to see this Blessed One Covenant storyline probably intersect with a possible depiction of the Arbiter, though we haven't necessarily seen Thelvadam just yet. I'd be really excited to see him, especially if they're taking this much time to flesh out other Covenant characters. I don't understand why they discard a fan favorite from previous games in favor of a human. Using this new human character instead of Tartarus or the Arbiter or any of the other Covenant characters feels a little bit weird, but again, I'm willing to give it a couple more episodes before I commit. There are certain other issues with the show. Some of the CGI fight scenes feel a little bit floaty, and the Spartans definitely don't feel as big and weighty as I'd want them to all of the time, but most of the time it's pretty good. We're getting some exciting scenes, and though the CGI wavers here and there, I feel like we're getting pretty strong performances from our four main Spartans. In the meantime, classic characters like Jacob Keyes, Miranda Keyes, and Dr. Catherine Halsey all have actors that are putting forward interesting and intriguing performances. Right now, I'm worried that the show is going to try to cram too much into too little time and move too fast. They've already buried the lead by using a huge moment of John taking off his helmet in the first episode, and it's definitely weird for Halo fans to see John's face after it's been kept such a secret, but it was a good moment that would have probably felt better if it had happened later on in the season. If it's supposed to be a moment of John defying his military training and ONI and the UNSC for a moment of shared humanity, I feel like waiting a couple episodes and letting the bond grow between him and Quan Ha could have made it hit more. In conclusion, I'm worried about the Covenant storyline. I'm not sure where this whole Blessed One thing is going, and right now having a human be that much of a focal point for the Covenant feels weird to me. The time spent with the Covenant should be spent with aliens and learning about this alien culture, rather than learning about the alien culture through a human. I'm impressed by Pablo Schreiber's performance, and I think he's playing a good Master Chief. It's certainly not as iconic as Steve Downes, but I'm enjoying it, and it feels like a version of John that I can believe. Some CGI shots, especially some close-up ones, don't hold up that well, including in fight scenes. A lot of the larger scale shots, whether that's planets or landscapes, look great, but then when you get close up on an elite in a couple shots, and even some of the Spartans, things don't always look great. Finally, I'm excited about John learning about his origins. I'm a huge fan of the Hunt the Truth podcast, and so unraveling Chief's origins and John discovering that for himself could be really interesting. I'm also incredibly excited at the possibility of seeing a Halo ring, having scenes on that ring, and of course, the arrival of the Flood. This is just covering a smattering of topics from the first episode, and I could go on even longer. So let us know how you feel about the Halo show. Do you like the Silver Timeline and some of the changes being made, or do you think that this is a sign of worse things to come? And, of course, how do you feel about the Master Chief face reveal and a new version of Master Chief on your screens? Let us know in the comments section below, and let us know if you want to see more Halo content. I'm excited about the show, and hoping to tune back in a couple weeks to update you on just how wrong or right I was.